You know, when a relationship ends, our first instinct is often to see it as a failure. But what if it's not? What if sometimes the end is actually a sign of some serious, profound growth? Today, we're going to dive deep into the anatomy of a mature breakup, and we'll see how two people can actually find strength, responsibility, and yeah, a new beginning, all in the act of letting go. So let's just start with that big question right there. Is the end of a love story always a failure? We're going to look at this particular breakup not as some kind of tragedy, but more like a fascinating case study in emotional growth, where maybe, just maybe, the most loving thing you can do is walk away. Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We're going to follow Ira and Kamyar's journey through 5 key moments. We'll start with the decision itself, then see how the families deal with it, watch the huge shift from blame to taking responsibility, see how they each choose a new future, and finally look at the real maturity it takes to truly let go. All right, first up, let's get inside Ira's head for a minute. For her, this ending isn't about giving up. Not at all. It's about starting over in the most fundamental way possible. And wow, this quote says it all, doesn't it? She's not doing this to find some quick fix happiness. She's doing it to survive. That shift in thinking from just wanting to be happy to needing to survive, that tells you everything. It tells you a line has been crossed and a huge necessary change is about to happen. Of course, a decision this big never happens in a vacuum. So let's see what happens when the families get involved. This is where we see them confronting the reality that some things are really, truly over. But boy, do they come at it from two completely different places. So on one hand, you have this plea from Kamyar's family. You can hear the hope in his mother's words, right? The hope that things can be patched up, that they can just undo the past. It's a totally understandable reaction, something you see all the time. But then, bam, that hope just hits a brick wall. Ira's father comes in with this firm, protective, and just final statement. He's not trying to negotiate here. He is declaring a new reality. And that contrast just instantly shows you there's a huge gap that's just not going to be bridged. And in the middle of this really tense meeting, Ira's father cuts right through all the noise with one simple, devastating observation. Where is Kamyar? The fact that he isn't even there in this critical moment, it speaks way, way louder than any apology his family could ever offer. It's a huge sign he isn't really ready to fight for this. And then Ira herself just hammers this point home. Man, you can feel the exhaustion in this line. She knows that giving one more chance isn't just some easy phrase. For her, it comes at an enormous personal cost, and it's a price she's just not willing to pay anymore. Okay, so now let's switch gears and talk about Kamyar, because this is where we see one of the biggest signs of emotional maturity in the whole story. We see him go from fighting to have her to actually taking responsibility for why he lost her. It's that crucial jump from blame to real accountability. And this comparison just lays it all out so perfectly. The old Kamyar, he was all about these grand gestures, moving heaven and earth like it was some kind of conquest. The new Kamyar, though, he's defined by this quiet self-awareness, this acceptance that, yeah, he's the reason it all fell apart. And he goes even deeper here, which is just incredible. This isn't him just being falsely modest. This is a painful, honest-to-God admission. He knows he didn't become the man Ira believed he could be. And he gets that the person he is now is just fundamentally not right for the person she deserves. That's heavy. So, a breakup isn't just a dead end, right? It's more like a fork in the road. And for both Ira and even Faria, this moment becomes a trigger to stop just reacting to things and to start actively, consciously choosing a new direction for themselves. And look at Ira's path. It's so clear, so decisive. She's got a plan, a master's program abroad. She gets the legal paperwork to make her independence official. And what's so important is that her father empowers her. He tells her life can't be lived on maybes and promises his full support, which gives her the freedom to really make her own choice. But here's a twist I don't think anyone saw coming. The ripple effect this has on Faria, of all people. After seeing all of this go down, she learns this incredibly powerful lesson for herself. She realizes that her own self-worth has to come first and that she also needs to choose herself over chasing someone else. So in the end, you've got both Ira and Faria landing in the exact same spot, even though they took totally different roads to get there. They both learned that putting your own well-being and your future first isn't selfish. It's absolutely essential. It's an act of self-respect. All right, let's tie this all together. How does letting go become the biggest act of love and maturity in this whole story? Well, it happens when both people finally accept the truth of their situation and choose peace over possession. I love this coffee metaphor from Kamyar. It's just perfect, isn't it? It totally captures what a toxic but addictive relationship feels like. It's bitter, it hurts, but it's also a habit you feel like you need just to get through the day. Real maturity is realizing you have to break that habit, even if it means facing the world without that familiar pain. And this is the final piece of the puzzle. This is where you see all his growth come to a head. There's no drama, no last-minute begging, no big speeches, just the quiet, selfless act of signing the papers. It's his silent way of saying, "Your future is better without me," which is honestly the most profound way he could show he still cares. So that brings us full circle, right back to where we started. This whole story suggests that sometimes a happy ending doesn't mean you stay together. It means having enough respect and love for someone and for yourself to know when it's time to let them go. It really makes you think, what if that's the truest kind of love there is?